child, you have been calling this season confusing, but confusion is not the full story. What you are feeling is what happens when a life that has been tied into too many knots begins to be untangled. At first, untangling does not look peaceful. It looks messy. It looks slow. It looks like everything is being touched at once. A knot does not come loose by pretending it is not there. It comes loose when patient hands expose where the tension lives. That is what I have been doing in you. I have been exposing where your peace was tied to the wrong things, where your identity was wrapped around unstable outcomes, and where your heart kept confusing familiarity with safety. You wanted immediate clarity. But clarity is rarely the first thing you feel when your inner life is being untangled. First comes awareness, then discomfort, then resistance, then honesty. And only after truth is allowed to breathe does clarity begin to take shape.
You are living inside that process now. There were relationships that looked simple until your soul started telling the truth about how drained it felt afterward. There were routines that looked normal until your body began showing you how tired it had become. There were desires that looked harmless until you realized they were making your peace depend on things that were never strong enough to carry it. That is why this season feels crowded inside. Old thoughts are being questioned. Old attachments are being tested. Old assumptions are being challenged. It is not because your life is collapsing. It is because the tangle can no longer remain hidden if freedom is going to become real in you. My child, many people do not know the difference between a life that is busy and a life that is aligned. They fill every hour, answer every message, solve every problem they can see, and still wonder why they feel restless. But restlessness often grows where alignment has been neglected. Activity can hide disorder for a while, but it cannot heal it. You have carried more internal contradiction than people realize. Part of you wanted peace, but another part still chased approval. Part of you wanted rest, but another part still believed exhaustion proved commitment. Part of you wanted truth, but another part kept making space for illusions that comforted you in the short term and confused you in the long term. That inner contradiction is one reason you have felt so tired. Contradiction drains strength. It takes energy to keep living one thing while your spirit quietly knows another. It takes energy to keep smiling over what your heart is questioning. It takes energy to keep calling something sustainable when deep down you know it is not. So I have been disturbing your false peace, not your real peace. False peace is what you feel when you avoid the truth long enough to create temporary quiet. Real peace is what remains after truth has entered the room and you no longer need to protect what was exhausting you. I am not taking peace away from you. I am separating peace from pretense. That separation feels uncomfortable because pretense can become very familiar. You can get used to pretending you are fine, used to saying yes when you mean no, used to carrying what is not yours, used to over-explaining your worth, used to keeping doors cracked open because closure feels too final. Familiar does not mean healthy. It only means repeated. My child, one of the hardest things for a sincere heart is admitting that some of what looked like loyalty was actually fear. Fear of disappointing people. Fear of being misunderstood. Fear of losing momentum. Fear of being left with too much empty space. Fear often disguises itself as responsibility, because responsibility sounds noble while fear sounds weak. But I am not interested in keeping you noble on the outside if your soul is quietly suffocating on the inside. I want integrity between what you carry and what you can actually sustain in peace. I want your life to stop depending on emotional overextension as proof that you are loving, faithful, or mature. You do not need to keep every connection alive to prove your heart is good. You do not need to remain available to what repeatedly unsettles you. You do not need to keep every option open just because closure feels intense. Untangling requires decisions. Decisions create space. Space allows peace to grow. There are people who keep mistaking open loops for hope. They leave every door slightly open because they are afraid a closed door means lost opportunity. But sometimes a half-open door is the reason the room never becomes quiet enough for healing. Sometimes the life you want cannot arrive because the one you should have released is still taking up inner space. My child, I am teaching you how to recognize what belongs in your life by the fruit it consistently produces. Does it deepen peace? Does it sharpen truth? Does it strengthen your spirit? Does it make you cleaner inside? Or does it repeatedly create confusion, emotional noise, self-doubt, and the need to recover after every contact, thought, or return? Fruit reveals what words try to hide. This is why I have slowed some things down. If I let you keep moving at full speed, you could have carried the tangle into an even larger season. More people, more opportunity, more attention, and more responsibility would not have solved the disorder. They would only have amplified it. So I reduced the speed so you could hear what your soul has been trying to say. You have noticed that some things no longer feel simple. That is not because you are becoming difficult. It is because your discernment is becoming honest. What once slipped past you now catches your attention. What once felt exciting now feels expensive. What once felt flattering now feels unstable. This is not you losing joy. This is you recognizing cost. Cost matters. Many people choose by appearance and only later discover the hidden invoice. They choose what looks open, what feels fast, what seems validating, what promises relief, and only afterward do they realize how much peace, time, emotional steadiness, and self-respect it required from them. I am training you to see the invoice sooner. That training is mercy. It will save you from calling chains by prettier names. It will save you from calling pressure purpose. It will save you from calling emotional intensity destiny. It will save you from calling exhaustion devotion. It will save you from mistaking being needed for being valued. My child, untangling is also changing the way you think about yourself. Some of your self-definitions were formed in seasons where you were only trying to survive. You became the reliable one, the calm one, the available one, the patient one, the one who could absorb more than everyone else seemed able to. But survival identities are not always meant to become permanent callings. You are more than the role that helped you get through a harder chapter. You are more than the strength people learned to expect from you. You are more than the function you performed in relationships, families, workplaces, and quiet emotional emergencies. I am calling you out of performance-based identity into something steadier and truer. That shift can make you feel unsure of yourself for a while. When old roles loosen, the heart sometimes panics because it wonders who it will be without them. But losing a role is not losing yourself. Sometimes it is the first time the real self has enough room to breathe. There is a version of you that is not maintained by pressure, not animated by overthinking, not constantly checking whether everyone else is still pleased, not reaching backward to what made life noisier, but more predictable. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is the person I am quietly uncovering beneath the tangle. You do not uncover that person by force. You uncover that person by truth, by not lying to yourself about what keeps draining you, by not minimizing what repeatedly confuses your spirit, by not pretending the same cycle will produce different fruit just because you miss the familiar feeling of it. Truth cuts cleaner than wishful thinking. My child, you are not weak because this process has made you emotional. Untangling touches every place where feeling has been delayed, redirected, or buried. When truth starts pulling on knots, forgotten ache begins to surface. That is why some days feel strangely tender. It is not because you are becoming unstable. It is because old tension is finally being released from places where it stayed too long. There is grief in untangling. Grief for time lost. Grief for patterns repeated. Grief for the energy it took to maintain what should have ended sooner. Grief for the younger version of you who thought endurance alone would eventually create peace. Let that grief be honest. Honest grief does not weaken healing. It deepens it. But do not let grief become your identity. You are not the one who always gets it wrong. You are not the one who stayed too long. You are not the one who ruined the timing. Those are the cruel summaries pain writes when it wants to turn a process into a permanent label. I am not reducing you like that, so do not reduce yourself like that either. You are learning. You are seeing. You are becoming clear. That matters. A person who sees the knot is no longer trapped in it the same way. Awareness is already movement. Discernment is already progress. Honest discomfort is already a step away from the old illusion. Do not despise the beginning of freedom just because it does not yet feel finished. My child, some of the peace you want will not come from receiving more. It will come from carrying less. Less explanation, less false responsibility, less emotional debt to places that never healed you, less pressure to keep everything alive at once, less fear that a closed door means your future shrank, less loyalty to what is already proven it cannot support your peace. Carrying less can feel strange if you built meaning around carrying much. But peace is not always added. Sometimes peace is uncovered when unnecessary weight is finally removed. You have been trying to heal while still carrying what constantly reopens the wound. That cannot continue if you want deeper freedom. So I am giving you courage to name things accurately, not harshly, not dramatically, accurately. Accuracy is powerful because it closes the door on fantasy. It does not let confusion keep pretending to be mystery. It does not let misalignment keep pretending to be a spiritual test. It does not let draining things keep dressing up as sacred assignments. Accurate naming is part of untangling. This is not peace. This is not safety. This is not clarity. This is not my responsibility. This does not fit the next chapter. This cannot keep occupying my inner room. Words like these protect the future more than you realize. My child, do not be afraid of the clean decisions this season is asking from you. Clean decisions are merciful. They reduce noise. They restore dignity. They stop teaching the heart to survive on ambiguity. They interrupt the cycle of almost, maybe later, and one more time. Ambiguity can feel softer in the short term, but clarity heals deeper in the long term. You are not being asked to become harsh. You are being asked to become clear. Clarity with compassion is holy. It honors truth without turning cold. It honors peace without becoming proud. It honors the lessons of the past without letting the past keep negotiating for more room in your present. And let me tell you this gently. Not every knot came from rebellion. Some came from tenderness. Some came from hope. Some came from wanting to love well, wanting to be patient, wanting to believe the best, wanting to avoid hurting others. That is why you do not need shame in this process. Tender hearts can still become tangled. They simply need truth to become free again. My child, I am not angry with your slowness in learning. I am not standing over you with disappointment because it took time for you to see what was happening. I am patient with your process. I know what formed you. I know what you were trying to preserve. I know what you feared would happen if you let go sooner. I have understood you every step of the way. So stop speaking to yourself as if harshness is wisdom. It is not wisdom to condemn yourself for being human in a complicated season. Wisdom is telling the truth and walking forward without making shame your guide. Shame tangles more. Grace untangles because grace is honest without being cruel. You will not leave this season empty-handed. You will leave with cleaner sight, cleaner appetite, cleaner boundaries, cleaner language for what peace feels like, cleaner understanding of what it costs when you betray that peace. And with that cleaner understanding, the future will feel different in your hands. What once would have pulled you in will not feel the same. What once would have dazzled you will not carry the same authority. What once would have kept you stuck in overanalysis will lose some of its power, because truth is finally occupying more space than fantasy. That is how untangling becomes visible. My child, one day you will look back and realize this was not the season where your life became more confusing. It was the season where confusion was finally exposed. You only called it confusion because exposure is noisy at first. But exposure is not the enemy. Exposure is the light entering where knots used to hide. Do not run from that light. Do not refill the room with distractions. Do not call the ache meaningless. Stay with me here. I know how to untangle what you cannot rush. I know how to loosen what fear tightened. I know how to separate you from what once felt necessary. I know how to teach your soul that clarity can feel quieter than chaos and still be far more trustworthy. My child, there is a difference between being interrupted and being invited. Hurry interrupts because it steals your attention before truth can settle. But my slowing often invites. It invites you back into your own life, back into your own body, back into your own unspoken needs, back into a way of living where peace is not always postponed behind everyone else's demands. You have spent long enough treating calm like a luxury. Calm is not a luxury for your soul. It is part of how discernment stays clear. When calm disappears for too long, even small things start sounding bigger than they are. When calm returns, you begin to see proportion again. What felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What felt confusing becomes nameable. What felt final becomes simply present. My child, do not be surprised if slowing down changes what you want. Some desires only survive in speed because speed keeps you from examining them. When the pace becomes gentler, you start noticing which desires are rooted in fear, which are rooted in comparison, and which are actually born from peace. This is another reason slow seasons matter. They reveal the origin of your hunger. I am also teaching you that presence is stronger than pressure. Pressure can make you move, but presence teaches you how to move wisely. Pressure makes you reactive. Presence makes you attentive. Pressure narrows your vision until everything feels urgent. Presence opens your vision until you can recognize what truly deserves your energy and what only wants your anxiety. Let me pray for you. Father, touch the places in this person where life has felt tangled, crowded, and hard to interpret. Bring patient clarity where there has been emotional noise. Bring courage where clean decisions are needed. Bring gentleness where shame has been trying to speak. Untangle what has been exhausting them. Separate them from what cannot carry peace, and make room in them for what is honest, aligned, and steady. Amen. My child, what you called confusion was me untangling your life. If this message reached your heart, write in the comments, "Untangle my heart."